Payman.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening. My question's around the Invasion Day rally Perth attack. Given this country's general terrorism threat level has been assessed by ASIO as probable, and attacks in crowded places in major cities the most likely targets, I'm curious to understand why the organisers of January 26 event were not informed on the risk and how to help them mitigate it.
Senator, are you talking specifically about the Western Australia,
yes.
Australia Day rally? So I can't speak for Western Australia Police. I do know that through obviously my engagement with Western Australia Police Commissioner that they obviously have engagement with protest organisers in the lead up to protest events, but I certainly can't speak on behalf of Western Australia Police. What I can say, and what both the WA Commissioner and I said when we did the media conference to announce the terrorism charge, is that we didn't have any specific intelligence in relation to what the individual was planning to do that would have allowed us to engage in terms of threat or risk for that specific protest.
So with the individual in question, if there was a probable risk of a lone actor undertaking an attack, why was the AFP not prepared for this?
I don't agree with how you've characterised that. I'm not sure what you mean that we weren't prepared, and I can't talk to, or the question would be better posed to the Director General in terms of the broad assessment of Australia Day. That is a document that ASIO produces, and I would just reinforce that in relation to protest activity, the primary law enforcement agencies with responsibility are the State and Territory Police, and that is most appropriate. They have, the volume of resources to be able to safely police large protest activity. The AFP does not. That is not our remit. Of course, we engage very heavily with State and Territory Police in relation to sharing intelligence, and through our National Security Investigations teams, obviously we are looking at protest activity to identify hate crimes and the like, but the primary engagement point, and quite rightly, is the State and Territory jurisdictions.
So I'm correct to say that no particular measures were taken by the AFP in terms of the specific Perth Invasion Day rally?
So we have community liaison teams that are based in our capital cities around the country, and they have obviously good relationships with communities in their local areas. So there is ongoing engagement with community groups and community leaders, but I just reinforce that in relation to that specific Australia Day rally, there was no specific intelligence in relation to that individual, and I can't speak to what Western Australia Police did or didn't engage on with protest organisers.
So was there any AFP presence at the Invasion Day rally?
Yes, there was. I'll pass to Deputy Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. There was, and the AFP's role, particularly around protecting parliamentarians, so we had a reason to be there for a specific individual, and equally we have, as the Commissioner has said, ongoing engagement with the local jurisdiction, in this case Western Australia Police, to be able to quickly activate any intelligence flows or information. And this incident that occurred on Australia Day, within minutes Western Australia Police were able to respond, and within minutes the AFP were also aware. So we started to become familiar with the situation and already activate any response requirements that we have from the AFP, and in this circumstance the Joint Counter-Terrorism Team.
Thank you. And so what specific actions did the AFP take immediately following the attempted bombing?
For the AFP members there were a couple of our protective security members. I won't talk specifically because it related to a protective security overlay that we had there, but equally as soon as the AFP through the Joint Counter-Terrorism team became aware, we started to assist in terms of investigations.
And what measures were taken by the AFP to prevent a potential terror attack at any other January 26th events across the country? So not just in WA, but across the country.
Sure. As the Commissioner said, there was no specific intelligence broadly in terms of individuals undertaking any terrorism acts. I mean, we have a very mature joint counter-terrorism team construct around the country. The AFP is in every single jurisdiction, so we have those ongoing engagements with the states and territories. Any information that is shared in terms of intelligence is passed to the various jurisdictions, so the AFP works with our partners to get an understand of any threat environment.
Now, what would you say is the preparedness level that the AFP is intending to put in place to be proactive to keep First Nations people and other rallies safe?
So, as the Commissioner said, in terms of protest activity in the jurisdictions, that's the primary state and territory objective for their jurisdictions. The AFP will continue to work with states and territories. Any intelligence or information is always readily passed. We also have the National Security Investigation Teams, which is our proactive, preventative and early intervention teams. They are already in Melbourne, Sydney and Canberra, and the government announced additional funding late last year for the expansion of national security investigations. And as the Commissioner said in her opening, we will go and proactively look for hate disruptors.
Thank you. And just referring to the Commissioner's statement, opening statement, my next set of questions are briefly just around the threats that parliamentarians receive. Is it the responsibility of the AFP or a senator's office to determine whether a threat against a parliamentarian meets the threshold for law enforcement action?
Well, we encourage all parliamentarians to communicate with their contacts through the diplomatic protection teams and their liaison teams, and also make any reports that they feel that is of threat. The AFP will always assess and provide security advice, so it's a partnership in terms of being able to identify thresholds, identify any threat reporting. So it's a partnership throughout.
Thank you.
Senator, I can tell you I get a daily report every morning. It's one of the first reports I read when I come into work in the morning, which captures the last 24 hours in terms of threats, offensive, vile communication to parliamentarians. I think you could imagine how long that report is some days.
Trust me, I get it every day.
But
we're probably reporting to you every day.
Yes, it is top priority, and we just, as the Deputy Commissioner has said, we really encourage that exchange of information so that we can take swift action.
So just, I've got a few examples. On 28th of November 2025, my office received an email stating, and I quote, "How about your husband gets murdered?" Does the AFP consider that statement to be a threat requiring assessment?
Certainly, on initial glance, that would certainly be at least the offensive nature of that. I'd have to have the investigators look at the context and the totality of that. But any of that kind of information, I encourage that to be provided to your diplomatic liaison contacts, and we'll treat every matter seriously.
Because we did report this, and following that incident, my staff were told on 1st of December 2025 that the onus was on our office to keep a dossier and decide when behaviour reached a threshold. So I would be very interested to know whether that particular wording would meet your threshold. Why was the AFP outsourcing threat triage to a senator's office? I mean, my office is already under-resourced and understaffed. I can't subject my team to be then triaging hateful and just vile emails like that.
Senator, could I take that one on notice just to explore
Please do.
more about it, because I'm not familiar with the totality of that one.
No
please.
worries. Does the AFP assess patterns of escalation over time, or does it treat each threatening incident in isolation?
It would be a mixture that we would have to do, and I won't go into in terms of our threat and methodology in terms of how we assess, but certainly, as I said earlier, just encourage that ongoing communication, and very happy to obviously take on notice the matters that you are specifically indicating to.
Please. And
can I just add that we also have a fixated threat assessment team which does look to those behaviours you described, whether someone's escalating or ramping up and whether we need to intervene. That may not always be a police intervention, it might be a mental health intervention or some other joint intervention by authorities. And we have a standing threat review committee as well, which is senior members within the organisation that assess those matters that we deem to meet the threshold of a threat, to ensure that it's being managed and triaged appropriately.
thank you. And just my final question, I'll put the rest on notice because, yeah, again, I've got a duty of care towards my team. On January 20th, an AFP officer advised my office that the individual who had this fixation risk assessed over November, January and February was horrified we took offence and that the language was not a threat. Is it appropriate for AFP officers to minimise threatening language based on a sender's claimed intent?
Please let us take that one on notice again. I want to personally look into the details of that one, but can I just reiterate, please encourage your office to continue to keep reporting, recording information and reporting it to us so that we have the full picture.
Yep, and just on that, it would be amazing to ensure that, you know, the AFP firewall enables you guys to access emails, because my office was told on 4th of February that they were not able to access threatening emails with links attached, and I don't think it's fair for my team to be opening those links and exposing themselves to something that falls within your remit.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Again, I'm not familiar with that,
That's
but
fine.
we'll look at it.